and welcome back. This is Mariella from E-Cono-Me, the place to be if you're starting or scaling your business. Now, as a business coach, I'm a firm believer that the only way to help aspiring entrepreneurs is by giving them the right tools to help themselves and start their own business. Now, when you're living in an employee mindset, you believe that your worth is directly proportionate to what your paycheck is telling you. And as an employee, you are a subordinate because you're being told by someone else what to do, how to do it all day long. And from my experience, the employees who are absolutely satisfied with their career are usually those who are living a vocation. It's either teachers, it's either nurses, it's anyone who is giving from the soul, and are usually not too well paid either. Now, if you're going to make the shift into becoming an entrepreneur, a business owner, you are going to need to acquire what is known as the CEO mindset. And this is what we are going to be discussing today. Now, if you've been enjoying these videos, please drop me a like and subscribe to this channel because it will really help me grow it. And I will be here available to give you a lot more of this mindset information. So when you make the shift from being an employee into becoming an entrepreneur, a business owner, you need to acquire a CEO mindset. You will be the one who's going to be dictating your time, how much you earn, what kind of work you're going to be doing. The power of being in control of your own destiny, no matter what life is going to throw at you. So this is the emancipation and the freedom of becoming a business owner. Naturally, with that shift come a certain degree of responsibility as well. You're going to need to structure properly, and of course you need to be absolutely creative and be a cut above the rest. So if you want to write your own success story, you are going to need to make the shift from having an employee mindset into an entrepreneurial mindset. So before we start thinking of firing our own boss, let's see what it takes to go from being an employee to thinking like the boss. As an entrepreneur with over 30 years experience in building and structuring businesses and having left the corporate world myself, I'm quite familiar with the effort it takes to make this monumental decision to start your own business. Unlike what most people think, the biggest obstacles that are encountered by anyone is not shifting from employee to employer, and that's loss of income, hard work that's going to invariably follow, but it's always the mindset. Making the shift from being employed to solopreneur or even heading your own team as an employer is going to be a huge emotional transformation, and it will be completely a big change in your life. It's going to change your mentality altogether. So you will not just leave your paycheck behind, but you're going to leave your co-workers. You're going to leave a structure, even if it didn't work for you or it was politically charged, but it's still a structure that worked. So you are going to have to think in terms of how this is going to emotionally affect you. In fact, in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of my favorite books of all time, Kiyosaki explains that the transition from employee to entrepreneur is not about plenty of money or crafting the best idea or finding the right opportunities, but it's always going to have to be how you're going to shift the way you think. So in the session today, we're going to talk about the major mindset shifts on the journey from employee to entrepreneur. What does it mean to be the CEO of your own business? So, as CEO of your own business, you will need to make several important mindset shifts. As a solopreneur, you have to understand you will be wearing so many hats. If the doorbell rings, you're going to have to open. If there's an email, you have to answer it. Whatever it is that's going to need your attention, you are going to have to do it. Not to mention that the coffee that your colleague used to make for you is not going to happen. You're going to have to go to the coffee machine and do it yourself. But if you're going to start a business, you're going to have to leave the previous lifetime behind. You're on your own, and you're going to have to wear the hat of the employee, the employer, the manager, the admin, the person who is going to be fueled with imagination. You're going to have to create, you're going to have to sell your service, you're going to have to sell your product. You are the visionary, and you're also the operations manager. Therefore, unless you want to end up chasing your tail all day long and running in circles, you're going to have to do a lot of different things, but you are going to have to cultivate the mindset of being distinct from employee to CEO, to your own manager, to entrepreneur. This is the first mind shift you have to make. Take the time to be the visionary of your own business. So unless you have the clarity and the vision for your business, you're always going to be working like an employee. A practical way of attaining clarity is by allocating a specific time in the day in your calendar where you're going to go on your drawing board and you're going to think about which direction your business is going to go. What is your vision? What is your vision of leadership? How do you want your business to evolve? How do you want to see your business grow in the future? I think mapping out a vision board really works because you can plan out and map out your targets. Now you can either use a digital vision board like Canva, and you can write your goals, you can write your visions, you can even have mantras which help you. And this collage of images, motivational quotes, targets, whatever it is, will give you the clarity about which direction your business is going to go. If you don't want a digital one, you can just do a cut and paste one, a board, and you just put stickies on it, because it always really helps you get clarity. Mindset shift number 2. It's quality over quantity. Now, it's so easy to fall in the trap where you think that the more you work, the more you're going to see results. This is really different from the mindset you had as an employee. Because whereas when you were employed, your performance was measured by your output, the performance that you're going to measure now as an entrepreneur is the quality of your input. And you will always show up better the better quality you put into your work. In a way, it's going to be difficult, especially in the beginning, because like we said, you're going to be wearing many hats. You're the factotum. You're going to be doing everything on your own. But when you are running your own business, it's more the excitement, the proper thinking, the proper channeling that's going to maximize your result. Doing busy work may sometimes make you feel better in the short term because you feel like you have done a lot of work, but it's actually the focused and the creative work that is actually going to result and show up in your business. So an employee thinks it's important that I look good by producing a lot, versus the entrepreneur who thinks I will produce what works for me and my business. What you choose to focus on in the first couple of years in your business are going to define the structure of a sustained success in your business. Now let's talk about mind shift number 3. And this is, you have to let go of your fear of failure. Now, fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. And there are few things, to be honest, that make us more scared than starting and running our own business. You're going to give up the stability of an income, the certainty that is no longer going to be there, it's no longer going to be on the horizon. So fear is really a natural and it's a healthy way of jumping us into our higher adrenaline levels in order to perform. Of course, in the past it served us well if we were hunting, but today we tap on that fear and that adrenaline a bit too often. We rely on it to perform instinctively, whereas we need to shift here and we need to try to see what it's like if we're going to fail, because we are so going to try again. And if there's going to be some degree of failure, there's always something to be learned from it. And from what we're going to learn, we're going to improve. So we really have to let go of the fear of failure. As you probably know, in life there are no guarantees, but especially in business there are no guarantees. Many times the risks are high, but sometimes the rewards are going to be so much higher. You're going to have a lot more freedom. You're going to have a lot more time. You're going to have to be able to tap into your creativity and do what you think. Your instinct is telling you this is how it should be, because usually your instinct is so right. Whereas as an employee, you could never do that. So, I'm going to compare this to something a little bit funny. Imagine you're on a roller coaster, and when you get to the top and you're just starting to go, you are experiencing this fear, this adrenaline. Partly tells you go down, at the same time, knowing that there's going to be so much thrill in the ride that you actually dive headlong, and it's the road of no return, and you actually go. So think of yourself, think of the thrill rather than the fear. Now, mindset shift number 4 is be prepared to pivot and to adapt. As I already said, nothing lasts forever, and there's never been a time more true than now in seeing how everything is shifted, how our life have been altered. We haven't been traveling, we haven't been communicating physically with other people, we've changed our businesses to become a lot more digital, and there's never been a better time actually than now to start your own digital business. Having said that, knowing that everything shifts, we have to pivot with that shifting that happens. Albert Einstein says that the measure of intelligence is the ability to change. So as an employee, you are not required to think outside the box when change was happening. It was whoever was at the helm that was going to direct you and tell you how to shift. But as an entrepreneur, you're going to have to stay totally on top of your game. You're going to need to evolve, and you're going to have to evolve emotionally and professionally as well. So when you manage to pivot according to whatever the market needs, the circumstances, the technology, changing consumer demands, even pandemics, these are going to be in a constant flux, and you are going to have to listen, feel for them, and adapt and give the market whatever it needs at that point in time. This is how you are going to stay in demand and relevant. And in order to stay relevant, you need to remain with an open mindset, with a mindset that you are constantly checking what's working and what isn't. You must be willing and open to implement changes, which is going to mean that your business is going to thrive. In today's world, it's one of two P's. You either pivot or you're going to perish. So stay on top of your game, be mindful, be curious, see what your competition is doing, and then you can adapt and see how the market is flowing, and you either move alongside it or you might even want to disrupt it. In recent months, small brick and mortar businesses absolutely perished. However, those that were smart enough to have digital presence or to go online, provide delivery service, actually thrived. So this is a clear example of entrepreneurs with a mindset of pivot and growth. So if you are going to be resistant to change, being an entrepreneur is not the right formula for you. You have to be able to adapt. Take stock of whatever is working for you and improve on it. Now, the 5th mindset shift. Be creative at solving problems and jump at new opportunities. If you really want to unlock your next level of success, you're going to have to become very creative. This is such an important mindset shift, and I'm sure it's one that you've been wanting to do if you want to move from being employed to becoming an entrepreneur. We already discussed this in point 1, and we will need to allocate specific time to allow our creativity to flourish. This is going to be the time that is going to be blocked out of your calendar, where you're not going to have interferences, no phone, no family, no other needs. This is where you get into your drawing board and create. But another important thing is always be prepared to jump at new opportunities. We're living in times of very heavy competition, and therefore we have to stay in tune what our competitors are doing, because it's crucial to our business. Of course, problems are going to invariably surface with or without the challenges of even a pandemic that we're living. An entrepreneur, your mindset must always be how best to solve a problem and make it disappear. Now, if you were an employee, your mindset would be, I'm going to create distance from a problem because it's not my problem. Whereas an entrepreneur will say, I am going to escape from this problem because I am going to solve it. So it's not going to come back to me. The mindset switch from employee to entrepreneur is really not easy. If you're just starting out, it's going to be a challenge because you might be riddled with self-doubt, you might be riddled with procrastination, and when things don't go the way you want them, you start doubting yourself. But I can assure you that even seasoned entrepreneurs will have moments of doubt when they are faced with severe setbacks. So it's a normal feeling that you're going to feel frustrated sometimes. It's a normal feeling that you're going to feel disillusioned sometimes, but you have to be mentally geared to take on the challenge and move forward. It's not easy, especially if you're a solopreneur, to disassociate yourself from your business and your core persona. That is a given. But if you get into this position, I'm going to ask you to ask yourself a few questions. The first is, am I being objective? The second is, am I maximizing my potential? Third is, am I visible enough? Fourth is, am I attracting the right audience for the product or service that I am giving? And the fifth, do I have the right skills? Or do I need to outsource some of the skills because they've become too challenging? These are the questions that you need to be asking yourself by way of example, but they will so help you remain objective about your business, about the way you engage yourself, and the way you start adopting the mindset of an entrepreneur. When things go wrong, we tend to become very emotional, and that really doesn't help anyone, especially ourselves and our business. It's a legitimate feeling, but it doesn't help. By taking stock of our environment, our wins, our challenges, we can move forward and claim our entrepreneurial mindset and success. And finally, there are 3 zones of being that you need to focus on. You have to think of your zone of genius, your zone of comfort, and your zone of discomfort. Your zone of genius is the creative part of you that is going to fuel you, it's going to fuel your business, it's going to give you the energy. It's what you should be spending most time on. This is whatever you do that lights you up, whatever you're good at. It's this zone that you feel you're just not making an effort at all because it is coming to you so very easily. It's the zone that's your flow, and therefore you're going to create massive momentum by doing this in your business. Then you have the middle zone, which is your comfort zone, which is your capability zone, really. And this is the zone where you produce and you crunch your work that you're capable of doing. It doesn't take too much effort for you to do. And then finally, there is your danger zone or your incapability zone, which is really the zone that you have most difficult in doing. Maybe it's copywriting, maybe it's crunching numbers, spreadsheets, whatever it is that you don't feel you're very skilled at and what you'd rather not do. Naturally, if you want your business to go forward, you need to spend a lot more time doing the first and the second and delegate as much as possible what really doesn't work for you and throws you into your danger zone, because you could be spending too much time on this and this will not help you move forward. So I hope you've enjoyed this session. If you want the key takeaways from this, I am going to point them out very quickly, one after the other. And the first mindset shift is take time to be visionary in your business. The second is your quality has to be over your quantity. The third one is let go of the fear of failure. The fourth takeaway was be prepared to pivot and adapt. And the last one, quite important one, is be creative at solving problems and also jumping at opportunities. And remember your 3 zones. Your 3 core zones are important. Your genius zone, your comfort zone, and your discomfort zone. Take these into stock because they are going to help you shape that unbelievable business which you deserve. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video if you've enjoyed it, so that you will be getting a lot more, and I will be back by next week.